Hey everybody, Dr. Val here. I want to do a quick little tutorial on how to understand the net carbs. What's the difference between total carbs and net carbs when you're looking at labels? So one of the things that I have people do for a while as they're getting started, whenever I'm giving dietary advice, has to do with counting carbs. There's a lot of things I don't really care about that you count, like total calories and all this. It's not so important. Initially, you need to understand carbs and what labels mean. So I pulled a bunch of stuff out of my pantry. So you get to see some examples of labels and how to find carbs. Carbs are pretty easy when you look at a label. I'm just going to grab, trying to find one with, nope, not that one. Of course, in my examples, I didn't pick things that just had regular carbs. Of course, that's funny. Okay, well, then I guess you don't get an example. I don't have enough sugary things, apparently. Oh, wait, no. Might have one sitting down here. Okay, so here's an example. And there is a reason why I even have these in my house to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, I'm going to show you a label. This is candy, basically. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to try to keep the glare off of this. When you're looking at the labels on packaged foods, there's always a section called total carbohydrates. And this is per serving, so 24 grams. And then you have to go back and say, well, what is that serving wise? That is per serving. So if you eat a serving, then that's how many carbs you've eaten. But underneath that, there's usually two categories. One is, get that a little closer. One is dietary fiber, in this case, 0. And the other is sugar. This means added sugars, not whatever's naturally found in the ingredients. If it's, vegetables or something that has natural carbohydrates in it, they might be complex carbs, simple carbs. Usually the more processed the product, those are very simple carbs. They turn into sugar very rapidly. So not all carbs are the same, but there are natural carbs. And then the added sugars of carbs. So out of this 24 grams of carbohydrates in each serving, 18 of those are added sugars, which are usually very, well, they even tell you, usually it doesn't say that, includes out of that 18, 17 grams of added sugars. All that to say is that category of carbohydrates is what you pay attention to when you're counting carbohydrates. So in this case, if you eat one serving, which this says, about 13 pieces of this candy is one serving. So if you eat that many, that's 24 grams of carbs per serving. So if you're keeping track of carbs, that's what you would record. Now, there is another caveat. So anytime you have labels on anything, you always want to look at it. Sun butter is my substitute for peanut butter. This is made with sunflower seeds. That's pretty much it. I will say that, however, some of the brands, not the brands, but the styles are just the nuts that are ground and there's no added anything to it. This one does have, and when you go to the label, it says roasted sunflower seeds, sugar, some additional mono and diglycerides, oils, and salt. There is a version of this that is basically just the seeds. But the label portion here, sorry, the window is right behind me. which is nice for lighting, but not so good when you're trying to get the glare off. Okay, it's a little clearer if I back it up. So this has per serving, and again, then you have to look at the serving. Serving size is 2 tablespoons. Okay, about how much if you were making a peanut butter sandwich or if you were using peanut butter for dipping stuff in, that's about, a serving. How much people typically eat. So in that total carbs, there are 7 grams of carbs. Sorry, I really can't get the glare off of that. If I hold my hand over here and shield it from the light, you can read it better. So 7 grams per serving. Now, under this dietary fiber, underneath, it says 2 grams. Okay. I'll shield some of that extra light so you can see that. Added sugars, 3 grams. So when you're looking at net carbs is how much your body is going to turn into sugar. It doesn't break down fiber, even though it's considered a starchy item. It doesn't break down fiber into sugar. Bacteria eat the fiber, and so it gets digested, but not broken into sugar that goes into your bloodstream. So when you're looking at a recipe, I'm going to give you hopefully an example that doesn't glare so much. Okay, these are gluten-free brownies. So this has, really, that lighting. Okay, I'm going to hold my hand up here. The camera's flipped to me, so everything I do is totally backwards. All right, that says total carbohydrates. 25 grams. 29, sorry. It's blurry on my screen. 29 grams of carbs. And then under dietary fiber, it says 1. Okay. What that means is per serving, I can subtract that 1 gram from the 29. So that makes 28 grams of net carbs per serving. The reason I grabbed this is because this also says servings, 16 servings per container. Now, this is a typical brownie mix that you would dump in an 8x8 pan. The instructions on here are for 8x8 pan. Okay. I don't cut my brownies into 16 squares in an 8x8 pan. Generally, I'll either get 9 brownies, or sometimes if I cut it a little bit differently, if you cut 4x4, then you have 16 brownies. And then if you eat 1 brownie, you are getting that many carbs. Generally, though, if you are doing something in a pan, like a cake or brownies or something, or a big thing of soup where you're just serving some rough estimate of a serving, you have to take that into consideration when you're counting carbs, when you know how many carbs are in that. So, like, for example, if I make cookies, I will add up I know how many cookies that batch is, or that amount of dough is supposed to make. So if I actually make that many cookies, then I know how many grams are in each one, because the recipe might say makes 24 cookies, 36 cookies. Well, if I made my cookies super tiny or super big compared to what they did, and I only made 12 cookies out of that, you just have to do the math and say, okay, each of these cookies is actually 2 of their servings, so double the carbs or whatever. So when you're looking at labels and you're watching carbs, then that is one of the things you have to take into consideration. Yeah, all the other examples here that I grabbed from my pantry are very similar. They all have fiber that the dietary fiber that you're going to subtract back. Since I have all this here, we had taco night last night. We had chicken tacos, but I wanted to show a couple items that I use, and these are actually kind of hard to find, but these are blue corn taco shells, and it's GMO, non-GMO, organic blue corn blue corn has a slightly lower glycemic index than yellow corn or white corn. So these are hard to find. Garden of Eaton is the brand that makes these. They also make blue corn tortilla chips, which they used to sell at Sam's Club, and now they don't. It makes me very mad. They're a lot harder to find now. But this brand, I came across and bought all the ones they had because I could never find them. My son loves blue corn chips. So he was really stoked to have crunchy blue corn taco shells. He was very excited about that. The other alternative, though, if you can't find those, I will say this. If you live anywhere in the South where they have H-E-B, I'm so sad that the stores here don't carry these, but there is a Mission brand tortillas that is a uncooked organic corn tortilla shell that's flat, that you put it in a pan, cook it for about 30 seconds, flip it over, cook it for 30 seconds, flip it over again. Anyway, oh, they were so good. And it was organic. It wasn't blue. It was yellow corn. But the H-E-Bs where I lived had those shells. Now, Mission brand is huge in just about any store you walk into. They don't have that where I am, which I've asked for them. They have the flour uncooked Mission tortillas, but the corn ones that you cooked, oh my word, the texture was just like a flour tortilla. They didn't fall apart. I loved them. They were chewy like a flour tortilla, but it was organic and it was corn. Anyway, so the next best thing that we keep in our pantry here is the Mission gluten-free tortillas, which are bigger than the corn, obviously. They're much more like a flour tortilla. I still heat them up on a skillet, warm them up. They have better texture. But if you look at the ingredients, they have a lot of, well, I'll just even look. This is made basically from starches, rice flour, food starch, tapioca starch, potato extract, which is potato starch, corn starch, soybean flour, a whole lot of things. This is not something I eat every day. We have it because that's, without buying food online, it's just what's here. So, but that is going to have a much higher glycemic index than, honestly, a corn tortilla. So when you can find organic, non-GMO corn tortillas, that's the key, that is a better option than the gluten-free products. So I just thought I would share that. So when you're looking at labels, subtract the dietary fat carbohydrates from your total carbs, and that gives you net carbs. So, and you got to see some things out of my pantry. So that's all I have for today, and I hope you're having an awesome day. I'll see you next time.